What if people lived in space for millions of years? Have you ever wanted to go to space? But what if people spend millions of years living on spaceships? You travel in a spaceship with an autopilot that would never deviate from its course. The disadvantage of this trip would be that we'd look different, completely different, as a result of all the time spent in space transports. In this video, we'll take a look at how our bodies would change and how living in space would affect us. Gravity, it turns out, plays a significant role in this entire process. People would lose their sense of balance, which would be a major issue. You'd fall if you tried to stand up. Human evolution is a complicated process. Love complicates things because it makes us want to keep people alive. It's complicated by science and technology, which provide us with the ability to do so. Politics can make things complicated, and it's complicated by our relatively stable environment, which means we haven't needed many significant adaptations for thousands of years. But what happens if that shifts? What would happen if a population, generations of humans, left Earth to seek new lives in the vast wonder that is space? The environment beyond our home planet's protective environment is very different from the one we've evolved in for millions of years. It's entirely possible that our species will evolve into something completely different. This potential transformation of humanity has been fertile ground for speculative fiction for decades. Away from the constraints of gravity, we see humans evolving into unnaturally tall, brittle-boned creatures in James Corey's widely popular The Expanse series and Robert Heinlein's The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. To Be Taught If Fortunate by Becky Chambers depicts the opposite, bones thickening on high-mass exoplanets to support a higher body mass. As imagined technology extend our lives, we see a lot of longevity. Culture novels by Iain M. Banks are a brilliant example of this, in which humans develop the ability to live for centuries and become cosmic dilettantes. Humans have genetically engineered themselves to such extent in Bruce Sterling's Schismatrix that they're essentially a new species. While the specific outcomes and pathways vary greatly in science fiction, the concept of human metamorphosis away from Earth isn't so far-fetched. Although it may not appear so, humans are still evolving as we go about our daily lives. Environmental pressures will play a significant role in our evolution from an earthbound to a space-faring species. That is already obvious. Even a brief trip into space alters people physically. Even after a few months in space, astronauts can take years to regain bone density lost in microgravity. Some changes are even more rapid. There is the baroreceptor reflex, for example. It regulates our blood pressure, keeping it constant in response to changes in the environment. It keeps your blood from pooling in your feet due to gravity, which is why you don't faint when you stand up. Other changes that occur in microgravity over time include bone density loss. Without the constant stress that gravity places on your bones, they lose density at about 10 times the rate of osteoporosis. There are also changes in the eye's anatomical structure, changes in the brain's microstructure, and even changes in the gut microbiome. Although these physiological changes provide some insight into the environmental pressures that may shape the evolution of space-faring humans, they only affect individuals to varying degrees and appear to revert to normal when the astronaut returns to Earth, even if it takes a few years in some cases. So how quickly can we anticipate permanent evolutionary adaptations in Homo galacticus? Again, terrestrial precedent can help us understand the timescales involved. The tropics, where malaria is most prevalent, also have a higher incidence of sickle cell anemia because sickle cell disease, a hereditary disease, involves a gene that protects against malaria. People who are most likely to survive and reproduce are also sickle cell carriers. And different populations of people who live at high altitudes have evolved different adaptations to deal with low oxygen levels. Both of these events are relatively recent, occurring within the last few tens of thousands of years, a mere blink in evolutionary terms. However, it is not only our environment that influences the course of our evolution. Culture, the way we live, and the decisions we make also play a role, and it has the potential to significantly accelerate things. In the case of the French-Canadian population, Lila Kudra, for example, detailed church registers dating back to the 18th century revealed an interesting trend. The average age at which women gave birth to their first child decreased from 26 to 22 over a 140-year period. This reproductive age appears to be heritable, as women who reproduce earlier have more children who also reproduce earlier, eventually dominating the population. That's natural selection at work. However, in some areas, the age of the first reproduction is rising, as women choose to postpone having children for a variety of reasons, now that those areas have readily available means to do so. That's culture at work, as well as technology. So will our available technology, how we travel, and the decisions we terrestrial humans make about who gets to go. However, not all distinctions are visible to the naked eye. In the end, those future humans, the star's inheritors, may not look so dissimilar to us as we might expect. And with that being said, it's time to end our video. Subscribe to the channel for more amazing videos like this. We'll see you with another interesting video.